Alright, so another video, probably my most important video. And this video is really going to help if you're struggling to stop drinking. It will literally explain how you stop without it being hard either. But I'll touch on all the details throughout this video. And it goes back to the caption of the video. Drink really is a romantic flirt. And I'll delve into those details later on. Intro to myself, so 37 years old, in Dubai at the moment, so walking along Palm currently. Background in financial services all my life, senior project manager within that industry. Recently finished a contract, so I'm out here at the moment exploring the Dubai market along with the UK market to secure a new role. I've gone through a really sort of large body transformation, so gone from about 19.5 stone to 11 stone 2, from 40% body fat to 11.2. And a huge part of that, the real game changer, was stopping drinking. Hence why I want to share what I've learned along the way. So I'll touch upon 3 topics in this video. I'll put them in the description so you can click on them. And the 3 elements is firstly going to be the illusion of drink. So why you think you love it, why you do drink. And then the 2 things that actually make you drink and how you break it down. So if we start with the illusion of drink, so why do you think it's amazing? The strongest and biggest reason you think is amazing is because you may have been brought up in a culture where drinking is heavy and strong, like the UK, US, probably the whole world. There's a huge culture of drinking, and that means lots of the people you used to look up to would drink, and it became like a bravado thing where you wanted to get to a certain age and be able to drink like these heroes that you used to see. And eventually that can get out of control. On that point, I would say this would be a useful video for people who are sort of drinking too much and they know they're drinking too much and they really want to stop, whether that just be the weekends or a few times in the week, all the way up until sort of raging alcoholics where you know it's fucking up your life completely, so many problems from it, it's just super obvious. They're the people this will help. If you want to stop drinking, this will literally stop you. For people who are recreational drinkers, it's still giving more than it takes from your life. If you're in that boat, this probably won't help. Maybe it will, because you never know when you're going to escalate on the slippery slope of drink. But yeah, from sort of medium drinkers to heavy drinkers, this is where you're really going to benefit from this video. So the illusion of drink. What's happened is you started drinking, you've drunk more and more, you got into bad habits. You've then built up this huge memory bank. So all of your spare time ends up revolving around drinks. So if it's a birthday party, a wedding, going out to the pub, going out for a meal, all of these things eventually include drink. So you start using drink as your crutch, you start using it, and therefore you build up this huge memory bank in your brain, which is full of memories that surround drink. Then what happens next is really interesting. So this is the main point. So you've built up this memory bank. Let's say that wasn't your fault, it just happened. But that's the reality. You've got a huge memory bank of loads of events, situations which include drink. What your brain then does is really quite remarkable. So you'll know this is true. When you look back on previous events, like holidays or being at the pub or a really good night out, when you look back, you basically can feel nostalgic. And that nostalgia makes you feel super warm, makes you feel amazing, and it actually makes you feel better than it even was at the time. That's what nostalgia is. That's the phenomenon of nostalgia. It's basically called rosy retrospection. So hence rose-tinted goggles. So when you look back on previous events, you'll often realize, and if you think back to some events you can think of now, holidays or whatever, you'll realize when you think back to them, the recall you get is all the positives. And what your brain does, it won't recall all of the negatives that go with that. So the hangovers, the anxiety, the stress, the arguments, all the shit that will have come with the drink, they don't come flooding back in, because why would your body put you through all that shit again? It doesn't. Your body's really good about forgetting about pain. So it brings back all of the positives, hence why it feels even better than it did in the moment. Big point on that as well, something I've learned from this. That is a true phenomenon, Google it. That's what happens, that's what nostalgia is. And with regards to drink, I call it romantic nostalgia. Yeah, that's what it is. And a key takeaway from this as well, regardless of drink, is in the moment, try and make every moment as good as it can be. So really make the most of it, because if you put more good memories in there, get that extra energy to play with the kids and do all that stuff, When you then look back on it, your brain will recall all of those great moments, and they'll be even stronger. You'll feel even better from it. Anyway, I digress a little bit. So that's what's basically happened. So your brain recalls these memories, all of these events, and what it eventually does is sees a common denominator. So a common theme throughout all of these situations and environments is that drink was there. So then naturally your brain starts thinking, fuck me, it must be the drink. And that's the illusion. So when you're a kid, this doesn't happen. You will still get nostalgic feelings, and you'll look back on different parties and birthday parties and restaurants, and it'll do the same thing. It's still nostalgic, but there won't be that drink there. And therefore kids can seem more happy because they're bringing back all the positives like we do, but there's less shit to delete as well. But that's what's happened. So you've got this massive memory bank. It's corrupted with loads of negatives in there from drink, where it's fucking your life up, or it's making your life shitter than you want it to be. Your brain doesn't bring those back when it applies nostalgia. It brings back the positives. So what that means is eventually you truly believe the drink is creating all of these great memories because nostalgia feels so good. It must be the drink, right? Obviously it's not, but you think it is. So then that is what gives alcohol the power to flirt with you. So that's where this comes into it. So the flirting is literally that feeling you get in your stomach. You've had a hard week at work, stressful day, or it's the sun's out. All of the things that make you want to drink. Flirting is the actual feeling that makes you actually pick up the drink. So you get that tight feeling in your stomach. You think, oh fuck, I really want a pint, I really want a wine, I really want to go out and get a few drinks on the table. That is the flirting, and alcohol is amazing at it. You create all of these memories, and the reason you created all these corrupt memories is because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in the UK, US, etc. There's so much money they can pour into the marketing. They also make it look visually and taste and smell super attractive to humans, which is a cunning plan, but now it's too ingrained in society. It's very hard to strip that away. That doesn't mean it's real. That's just what they've had to do to make it attractive. In reality, it's a poison. It's completely toxic. If you had a litre of it in a bottle, pure, obviously that's going to completely kill you. So 1 litre bottle, if you downed it, you're going to die, okay, of pure alcohol. It's extremely toxic. You think beer is what, 5%, wine 9-10%. They hugely dilute it with fruity flavors and everything that we like to make it palatable. Your body actually rejects it, and the rejection is why you get the hangovers, the anxiety, the stress. It fucks up with your microbiome in your stomach, so you physically, chemically actually feel shit. Nothing you can do about that. And with your electrolytes, it needs to get rid of it, so it flushes it out via electrolytes. That's the sort of salty water in your body, flushes it out, which is why you get the horrific headaches and hangovers. But that's the sort of illusion. That's where it's become looking attractive for all those positive reasons, well, seemingly positive reasons. So and that's what allows it to flirt with you. It looks like the most attractive thing ever. Like seeing the most attractive woman or man, whatever you're into, when you're on the beach or something like that. And they literally tick every single box. Unbelievable. If they continue to flirt and flirt and flirt with you, eventually the pressure gets really intense and you might give in. And that's what happens with drink. Because you still think it's really good and you still think truly it brings positives to your life, because you haven't broken down this illusion, it therefore has the power and control to flirt with you. It gives you that feeling, and you do want to drink, and you will give in to that feeling because you still truly think it's bringing some positives to your life. So that's the flirting. So how do we get rid of that? Because I'm not a keen believer in living your life and avoiding temptation forever. So if you truly want to stop, I think that's pretty bleak. You don't want to continue to live and think I've got to avoid this huge temptation, this amazing thing for the rest of my life. It's not going to work. You're going to give in, and that's what happens. So how do you break that down? So the flirting is the big thing that makes you drink, but it's actually the small thing to overcome. That's just a feeling that you need to address. The romanticism is the big issue here. So I just talked about why you think it's positive. It's that nostalgia. Now you know that. You know the scientific reasoning behind it. You bring back all these memories which are not holistic. They are not well-rounded. They don't represent the actual reality. They only bring back the positive snapshots of those environments and situations. which had drink in it, and you therefore think drink's amazing. If you holistically review what drink does, then you'll realize obviously all of the negatives that come with that. You know that already. The terrible sleep, shit skin, you might be overweight, not fit, not achieving things you want to achieve, doors aren't opening, anxiety through the roof, everything that comes with it, and the huge anxiety that comes with the fact that you're doing something which has obviously got hugely negative health consequences. So there's so many negatives with it, and at the moment, because you haven't broken down that romanticism, you think that, oh well, the pros still outweigh the cons. That's nostalgia playing tricks, and it doesn't mean to play tricks. That's just how nostalgia works, okay? It'll do it with or without drink. The problem with drink, it will delete the negatives from those drink memories on recall. Hence, it paints this rosy picture, and you think, well, drink must be amazing. That's what you need to break down. So you need to holistically view it, look at all the negatives, rather than just using nostalgic lenses to look back at the positives. See it for what it's really doing and all of the negatives it brings. Another way to do this, and the other way you have to do this, is by building up a new memory bank. So what you're going to do at the beginning, it's going to continue to flirt with you because you haven't created this new memory bank. These are new positive memories. You haven't done this yet. So at the beginning, when you stop, you're going to have physical withdrawals, and you haven't created enough new memories. Hence, nostalgia will kick in, and it's going to say, oh God, I want a pint. You're going to have those feelings. What you need to do is fight through those, like I say. So fight through those. They're not even that bad. It's like if you get flu or a cold. They can be bad, but you don't end up fucking everything up because of that. You just get through it. There's nothing you can do. You just get through the feelings of having a cold, bad for a couple of days, and then you're all better. That's similar to these pranks you're going to get. You might have a few days where it's going to feel fucking annoying, pretty shit, but you've just got to get through it. So you get through it initially, then you start doing all of those events. So going to the bars, restaurants, pubs, weddings. Some people avoid these things to start with. You may think you need to. I didn't. I used a lot of exposure therapy. Didn't know it was exposure therapy at the time, but that's realistically what it was. So I'd expose myself to those environments with the temptations, let's call them. Going to bars, pubs, restaurants, I'd play squash, and there's a big drinking culture after. I'd do all of those things, but I wouldn't drink. I'm not going to lie, because my memory bank was being created at this point. Initially, sometimes I'd be at these events and I'd be like, oh God, I want that pint. That's it, flirting with you. You still think it's going to bring something positive. So it'd flirt with you. And just get through those. You have to fight it a little bit, but nothing good in this life comes super easily. So yeah, put a bit of work in there. Then you're going to do more of these things, more of these events, more of these weddings, more of these parties. I just did a 2-week holiday in Egypt, all inclusive. Didn't touch a single drop of alcohol, didn't even want to. It scares the shit out of me because I see it for what it really is now, and how my life's changed since stopping with this body transformation. It's opened my eyes to how much it was fucking everything up, and how much aggro it caused me, and stress and anxiety. It was just crippling me. So therefore, coming a long way in this sort of journey, I didn't even want to touch a drop. So that was banging. But it takes memories to build up this memory bank. So you're going to do this, do more of these things, do this, do that, don't drink. What will then happen is you're creating this memory bank. Then, this is crucial. So you might struggle through some of these situations or events. This is the big key part. What will then happen? Nostalgia, let me turn around. Nostalgia will still do its thing, okay? So you might be at, let's say it's your first holiday and you haven't drank. You might be there and you might have that hollow feeling, that tense stomach, where you might think, oh, I'm still missing something, there's a hole, I do feel like I need that drink. You might still feel like that, it's still flirting with you, it's still got a little bit of power, okay? What will then happen is, you finish that holiday, time passes. When time passes, nostalgia will do its thing, it will kick in, it will recall that holiday, and you will have so many good memories from that holiday, or whatever event it was, and then your body will start realizing, and your brain will start realizing, holy shit, we just did that, that was phenomenal, and there was no drink involved. And like I say, nostalgia is still the same. So it will still bring back that holiday or the event, and it will seem more positive and warmer feeling with the nostalgia versus what it felt like in the present, which is a really remarkable phenomenon, but that's what will happen. So you'll continue to do this. You'll have other events. Some will go really well, super easy. You'll always go to bed feeling amazing because you know you haven't drank. But regardless, at the time, that's my key point. At the time, it might feel like, yeah, this is pretty good, but something's missing. You felt that with drink anyway, okay? You just didn't know it because you were numbing your mind with drink. But there were still so many negatives. You might have had arguments, got chucked out of somewhere, danced stupid, all of these things you didn't want to do. Those negatives still happened. It's just you didn't fixate on them at the time. Nostalgia then happens. It deletes all that shit and only brings back the positives. Nostalgia will still happen. So bring back all these memories. They'll feel fucking amazing. Hence, that Egypt holiday just went on, probably the best holiday I've ever had. And that's just the truth. And I didn't drink. When you go through things like that, it is like, holy shit, why have I drank for so long? Because now when I think back really hard on previous holidays, I know obviously all of the shit that happened on some of them. Whereas this one, nothing went wrong, nothing bad happened. You have some stressful days and stuff like that. And that's the brilliant thing about nostalgia. When it brings back those feelings, it doesn't bring back those negatives. So that's the long and short of it. The nostalgia will still happen. You're doing all these extra events. You'll start building up this huge pool of memories, so a memory bank in your brain. Nostalgia doesn't go away. You will then start recalling these memories and they'll feel fucking amazing. Just like they used to with drink. And now you can compare apples with apples. So now you're comparing the nostalgia of a drunken holiday, let's say, with the nostalgia of a sober holiday. Whereas what you were stuck doing before was retrospectively comparing the nostalgia of a drunk holiday with the present sober holiday. You cannot compare a nostalgic feeling with a present feeling. As I've explained to you, nostalgic feelings feel better than reality. And that is a key point. So you need to compare apples and apples. And that's basically how you do it. When you start doing that, you build up this huge memory bank. You've now got a huge memory bank full of positives, which you can draw on. Less of the negatives have to be filtered out by your brain because the less of the negatives exist. You get better, more rounded memories, and it just feels even stronger afterwards. And that is going to take time, right? So you're going to go through this journey. If you're still having those prangs where you think I really want to drink or that there's something missing, you just haven't built up enough memories yet without drink. Eventually it will happen. It doesn't take that long, only weeks and months. You just want to tackle loads of these things that you did whilst you were drunk, do them sober, and realize how amazing they can be. Then eventually you get to a point where I am now, where it literally has no power over me. I'm so consciously aware of all the negatives. Obviously I wouldn't have lost this weight if I was drinking, which is huge. I wouldn't be in Dubai. I'd be stuck in a shit job. Not a shit job, but a job I didn't like. Not pushing myself. I'd be stuck where I wasn't happy, but I'd have drink. There's so many negatives it was doing to my life. Whereas now I've got all the positives. I know how negative it is, and I know that I can replicate the nostalgic, amazing feelings sober. It means that I don't have to deal with the shit. I can just deal with the positives, build up that new memory bank, teach my brain that there are other ways to find that dopamine and the good feelings without sabotaging my whole life. When you do that, you can imagine now when drink tries to flirt with me. So if I see a poster, if I see an advertisement, if I see it in a restaurant or a bar or a club, or if someone says, oh, do you want a pint? Can you imagine what that feels like? I'm like, you're taking the piss, mate. It's a bit like, I can't remember if I said it at the beginning of this video, but if someone's super attractive and they're flirting with you, if you look behind the curtain when they were getting changed and you realise, oh my God, it was all a facade. They literally had a mask on or a complete bodysuit and they are grotesque. I don't want to be rude, but let's just say they're disgusting in every way. Their personality is horrible. You literally are so put off by them, it's insane. Everything about them you don't like, their beliefs you hate, and yeah, they just look grotesque to you. You see what happens if that person then tries to flirt with you again. You're like, jog on, mate, because they've lost their power. You've seen the reality, you've broken down that illusion, and that's the key point. That's what literally happens to me now. If I'm in those environments where someone offers me a drink or I see an advertisement drink, I literally, this is the God's honest truth, my body like shuts itself down. It's almost like shivers, where I'm like, fuck me. And it is almost like a thank fuck I don't have to drink anymore. Thank fuck I'm not addicted to that shit. And that's because I've broken down the illusion. So So those are the three key things, okay? Just to summarize, it's the illusion around drinking, which isn't your fault. It's just how it all started, how you ended up thinking the drink was amazing, building up that memory bank. Common denominator was drink. Therefore, all of your nostalgic feelings, which do feel better than the present, were filled with drink, and therefore your brain thinks, well, it must be the drink. That's what happened. Then you don't know why you can't handle the flirting feeling. When drink flirts with you, why are you giving in? Why are you drinking? It's because of the romanticism. So that romantic nostalgia. You, because of all those previous reasons, still have a belief that it's giving you positives. You've got to break that shit down. Break down the romanticism. Like I said, I used to walk back in my hometown in the evenings. Exposure therapy is brilliant for that. So I'd walk and I'd purposely go past all the pubs and restaurants and bars, the ones I could get into, walk past them where I used to drink. But yeah, I'd do that. And for me, I'd do that again and again and again, every night. And eventually you see the same people, or even if it's not the same people, you see the same type of person. And you look at them. They're in that pub because they've had the stressful day or the good day or whatever it may be. They all look the fucking same, right? They're not buzzing, they're not happy, they look exhausted, they're overweight, they're not fit. The majority of them this is, and they just don't look happy. And I love seeing that. And I force myself to walk past all those places, environments, to reinforce this message. Because yeah, when that romanticism used to kick in, I'm like, why do I still want a pint? Go for those walks, go past places like that, or go into them sober, don't drink, and you'll very quickly realise, why does this not look as amazing as my brain thought it was? It's because your brain was applying nostalgia. It was using rose-tinted glasses to make those situations look better than they were in the present. They weren't that good. And that's what you need to do. And then the flirting becomes less and less powerful, and eventually it's an embarrassment. That's where I am, which is where it changes. It's literally embarrassment. If someone tries to buy me a drink now, couldn't give a fuck. It literally, yeah, as I said, I just shivered then. It makes me just feel so fucking cringe is the best word, because I don't need to. So why the fuck, when I don't need to now, because I used to need to, now that I've broken it down, I broke down that illusion, I've broken down that romanticism, it therefore has literally no power. It's not attractive, it's not going to do anything good for me, it's going to fuck everything up. Do you want a pint of something that fucks everything up? No thanks, mate. I will literally pass, okay? I'm good. It's not even an awkward conversation. Sometimes I just say, oh no, mate, I've completed it, trust me. Or I'll say, I've got every t-shirt that exists. Trust me, I've got the t-shirt when it comes to drinking. And then my strongest one, which I don't always use, it's easier to think you'll use this. But in my brain, I'm often thinking, because the true thought is, sometimes I am feeling blessed, and I am like, I don't need to anymore, mate. And that's a good response to closer people. If a real close mate says, oh, you sure you don't want a pint? I'm like, nah, mate, I don't need to anymore. And that the reason I use that with closer people is because I think it's a bit brutal. So I need to know what situation they're in at the moment. But I don't want to make people feel shit around me, obviously, that I like. So I won't always use that. But if they can handle that, I'll be like, no, I don't need to anymore. Because it makes them think. They're like, what do you mean need to? And they think, well, I'm not drinking because I need to. Okay, if you're not, you're not. But the vast majority are. They need to, which is the reality, because of all of the things, and it might not be their fault whatsoever. But I needed to, that's for sure. So that's a common response in my head is, thank fuck I don't need to anymore. Which is really, turns it into like a relieving feeling. So that's it. They're the three things. The illusion, break it down. The flirting, yes, it will exist, even if you believe what I've just told you, which is the truth, okay? But even if you believe it, the flirting still exists for a short period after you stop, because you will have physical withdrawal. Not the super serious physical withdrawal. I've said this before. If you're an insanely chronic alcoholic and your body's physically dependent on it, you cannot just stop. You need medical advice. This is no medical advice in this video. Regardless of that, even if you just drink at weekends in the week, you're still going to have physical prangs where your body wants the chemical. That's just physical withdrawal. Like, you just have to go through that. There's no, I can't teach you anything. I can't give you any belief which is going to overpower those feelings. Like I say, the best analogy is, just think when you have a cold, you don't just give up. You just plow through it. You think, I've got a cold, fuck it. Do the same with those initial prangs. Get through them to start with, where it's flirting. Might last a week, might last 2 weeks. Expose yourself to loads of environments. Break down the illusion of drink and that romanticism. Break it down, see it for what it really does to your life, and then you'll realize the flirting starts to become super easy to deal with, and you'll be like, oh no, I don't need to anymore. And then eventually you'll realize it is fucking embarrassing. Not people who drink, I mean the drink trying to tempt you in where you've decided you don't want to. You've consciously decided you really don't want to. Yeah, you'll eventually get to a point where the flirting, like the disgusting person where you saw them in real life, you realize it's got zero power here. It does not work anymore. That's where you need to get to. So I am going to give more tips, like I always say. These are my three strongest tips: the illusion, flirting, and romanticism and nostalgia. Those are the three key things. Nail that, it won't even be hard to stop drinking. It'll be the easiest thing, and your life will get so much better. So, sweating buckets is boiling, probably about 38 degrees here. Good time to end the video. I'm gonna head out. Don't know if you can see it, but I'm gonna go across there now to the beach, and I'll catch you the next one. Cheers.